I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Do you believe that? Do you believe it ever? I have been thinking, okay, so the government caused a massive problem in the economy by shoving a whole bunch of money in. Now, one thing they cannot do is take the blame. So they got to shift it. They got to say these oil companies are trying to gouge people. And the latest one is landlords. Landlords are trying to gouge people. Now, what will this do if the government gets what they want, which is, hey, we need to control rent prices? What do you think that does to supply? Again, I've done videos on this before. If the government, or sorry, if a landlord can't make a profit through raising rents, because guess what else goes up and has gone up significantly in the last 2 years? Property tax. Isn't that government? Yeah. So government wants their cut. They always want their cut. They're going to get it. But if you have to substantially raise rents due to supply costs going up, labor costs going up, and property tax going up, no, 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 no. We cannot have that. But what will happen if the government does this is the landlord has to make a profit somehow, and the government's going to say, well, what's a fair profit? Okay, stupid, number one. But what they'll do is cut costs other ways, right? If they can't raise the rent, what they'll do is cut repair costs. It'll be a dilapidated rust bucket jalopy. And it's just, it's so annoying to listen to politicians talk about money and people think we're here, that they're actually going to help us and they actually care about people. They don't. They don't. They care about money more than anybody. More than anybody. Okay. And I'm not saying that the private sector, there can't be greed, and there are greedy people all over the place, right? But why is it that politicians aren't? Like, people assume that these people are like pure as the driven snow because they say something that will actually lead to the opposite of what they're saying, which is we want rent controls because we want there to be cheaper prices. But the way to get cheaper prices is not to control the price, it is to control the, or to pump more supply in. But we'll forget about that. So, one of my favorite politicians, one of the more ignorant of our politicians, is Elizabeth Warren, who wants to control rent prices. So, let's take a listen to what she has to say.
Day. We know that housing is the largest expense for American families every month, and the problem has just gotten worse. New research shows that for the first time, the typical American renter is spending at least 30% of their income to cover the average rent. That makes them rent burdened by federal standards. Now, a severe shortage of homes paired with growing persistence of greedy corporate landlords has made this problem worse and put housing out of reach for many families. Fixing this problem at its root is going to require serious investments in building more housing, like those I call for in my American Housing and Economic Mobility Act. And I'm going to keep fighting for this. But the problems that renters face go far beyond the supply problem. In too many places across the country, renters have few protections from needless evictions, excessive fees, and exorbitant rent hikes. Dr. Herbert, you're one of the nation's leading researchers on the housing market. So let me ask you, there's been a growing movement of tenants across the country calling on the federal government to establish tenant protection standards. Why is it important that the federal government act to protect tenants?
Thank you, Senator. Well, I would say that there's lessons that we've learned from the previous pandemic about the importance of housing and having stable, secure housing, which led us to take steps nationally to have an eviction moratorium and the like. I think there's a lesson there that says this is an issue of national interest. It should be something that differs depending on what state you're in. The other precedent I would point to is in the mortgage market, where we have a number of federal statutes, RESPA, TILA, the COA, that all relate to making sure that home buyers across the country, wherever you live, are treated fairly in the market. So I think there's very similar parallel there between homeowners and renters.
Yeah, that is really important.
Okay, so let me ask you guys, what do you think would happen if a corporate landlord, like a big one, they're trying to pass federal protections? And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any protections, but that's what a lease is. When you sign it, it says, hey, we can kick you out here. If you don't pay your rent, here's the consequences, etc. Now, what would happen? What would happen to a corporation if they had to put into their profit model that they're going to have a certain percentage of people that won't pay rent, which already happens, but that they cannot evict for a certain period of time, 3 months, whatever it is? Okay. What will happen to the people that do pay rent? They will have to raise the rent. This is the same for medical insurance. A lot of times, medical insurance, you are paying more for it because there are certain people that don't have it. So when they don't have it and they go to the hospital makes zero profit. So how do they, if they're seeing 10 patients and 5 of them don't pay and they need 10 to pay in order to make a profit, they have to charge the other 5 more. So how do we make housing cheaper? I get it, that housing is expensive, but the cause of housing being expensive and it going way above the rate of inflation, because typically housing tracks inflation, the cause of that is the government itself. Is the government shutting down the economy? Is the government shoving money into people's hands? Is the government lowering interest rates to near zero? It's infuriating to me. And so we have this like massive shortage in housing magically, right? Even though our population is going down, right? So the number of people that need housing is going down, but all of a sudden there's this shortage in housing. Why is that? The government lowering interest rates, pumping money into the economy, and encouraging speculation. It's not really rocket science. Yet they're going to come to our aid and have renter protections. Again, what that will do is make rent costs go up. Because if you need to make a profit as a corporation, either you will, number one, not invest at all. So supply will go down because you realize, hey, it's impossible to kick these people out, or it takes 6 months in months of litigation, which costs money because of these federal renter protections. So if we invest in this property, we have to charge this much more in order to make a profit. Simple math, yet politicians can't do it. I'll link this whole video in the description below if you guys want to watch the word vomit that comes out, but it's excruciatingly frustrating to me that people see a problem that was caused, maybe they don't know it, but that was caused by the government, and the government distorting the free market and the regulations that they have that are so restrictive to even bring more supply online. And they're like, you know what will fix this? An arbitrary cap on rent, or the government just making it impossible to kick people out. Won't fix it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.